It's time for a little comedy, a little content, and a lot of conversation. It's the Geno Jones Show, exclusively right here on YouTube. And now here's your host, Geno Jones.
Hey, what's happening, everybody? It is showtime. Yes, the Geno Jones Show. I know you say, okay, wait a minute, calm down, dude. First of all, why are you yelling at us? I'm just excited to be here. Second of all, you're saying, hey, gee, we can see the sign behind you. We just kind of assumed it was you since you're standing in front of the sign that says the Geno Jones Show. I come to you live Monday through Friday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. Chicago, 3:30 p.m. out in Los Angeles, where my guest, special guest tonight, Andre Russell, media star. He's got the #1 radio show on Sunday mornings. It's been like #1 for 25 years. So we're going to talk about the state of the NBA playoffs, the state of our Lakers. Well, I don't know if they're his Lakers anymore. Actually, he used to work for the Lakers. And he used to work for the Lakers and the Clippers. And he still works in radio. One of my old radio stations owned by Stevie Wonder, KJLH. Kindness, joy, love, and happiness. He's also a sports journalist, sports reporter, and just doing some real big things. And also, I'm trying to hold back this sneeze. You ever had to, excuse me, sneeze on camera? That's what I love about live TV. Anything can happen. And I'm not editing that out because I don't edit the show at all. So anyway, this week, well, you know what? We're going to talk about something that happened 30 years ago that changed history. And we're going to talk about that, something that happened in L.A. Some of you all might know. Some of you all probably can't think of it at this moment, but it'll come to you. But the 30th, it marks 30 years since this history-altering event happened in the city of Los Angeles. So my man's going to be on, Andre Russell's going to be joining me shortly. So we'll be getting him on. All right, so listen. So first of all, off the top, happy birthday, Todd Shaw. Who is Todd Shaw, a.k.a. Too Short, the rapper, businessman, my dude, Mr. Too Short, 56 today, doing his thing. Blow the Whistle. That might be his. It's probably my favorite album of his, and one of his biggest hits, Blow the Whistle. Shout out to Lil Jon, who produced that whole Blow the Whistle. Most of the cuts on Blow the Whistle, and that's like an iconic club. They call club banger. You still play that in the club, and folks get to going crazy, start dancing on top of tables and furnitures. Blow the Whistle. So shout out to Mr. Todd Shaw, aka Too Short, and all my other Tauruses celebrating their birthdays. Shout out to my April Taurians, because you know May 1st is Sunday, and you know who's up next. Oh yeah, us May Tauruses. We are up next, like Janet Jackson, Stevie Wonder. I was talking about the greatest baseball player ever, as far as I'm concerned. No, not Babe Ruth. I'm talking about Willie Mays. So it's a bunch of just May babies, and us May Tauruses are just really, what can I say? It's just amazing. All right. So let me, I want to shout out Meg the Stallion, because I wanted to talk about it. As a matter of fact, let me click on something. There we go. And I wanted to talk about it earlier in the week. So Megan the Stallion did a sit-down interview with Gayle King on CBS, their morning news. Shout out to Gayle King. Gayle is doing her thing. Gayle has secured the bags. Matter of fact, I think Gayle is doing a lot of the newscasts. I believe she is half the time, or sometimes she's doing her part of the CBS morning show from out in Los Angeles. So shout out to Gayle King. Gayle, you are doing your thing, my sister. You are, look, in terms of a journalist, you're about as good as anybody in the business. So I'm really proud of you. So anyway, so she did a sit-down interview with Megan Thee Stallion. So some of you all may or may not remember, a while back, Meg was shot in the foot. And there was a lot of controversy. This dude, this singer, rapper, Tory Lanez, and they were friends. Don't know if they were dating. She said they never slept together, but apparently they were supposed to be friendly. Anyway, something happened. She got shot. people accused Tory Lanez of shooting her. He denied that he shot her. He acknowledged, well, she got shot, but like, I didn't do it. But the general consensus is that people believe that Tory Lanez allegedly shot Meg. So Gail asked her about the situation, but what I thought was the most well, let me put it this way. The most tragic thing that happened to Meg was that she got shot. But probably right behind that was the fact that she was afraid to tell the police that she got shot, because she was afraid that she and Tory Lanez and I guess everybody else that was in the area, that was in the car, would have gotten shot by the LAPD. And she said that on Gail King's show, the sit-down interview she did with Gail King. And it just, in 2022, just think about that, black people are so afraid to tell police in general that they were actually shot. They would rather lie and say, look, I didn't, she told the police, I stepped on some glass, because she said she was afraid that she would have told the police that she was shot, and that if there was a gun somewhere near the premises, that they would have shot and killed her and everybody else that was in the car. So I just wanted to, that was pretty, if you get a chance, go back and watch that interview. So I told everybody about voting coming up, the midterm elections, the general elections is gonna be in November. I believe November 8th is the election day. I'll correct myself if I'm wrong, and I know some of you all will chime in, but I do believe it's the general election day is November 8th. A lot of the primaries are going to be happening. Some have already happened, and we got more coming up in May and June, July. So anyway, I can't stress enough. Listen, if you don't vote, you are basically just saying to hell with democracy. Because here's another reason why, if you don't vote, or if you're voting with the MAGA crowd or not voting at all, that you are voting to destroy democracy and the basic fundamental rights for black folks. Because if you don't think that there are millions of people, if you don't think that this whole MAGA crowd would love to reinstate Jim Crow laws, they're kind of doing it piece by piece right now. So let's talk about what's happening. So we got another Republican governor, Brian Kemp in Georgia. Shout out to Stacey Abrams, who will beat Brian Kemp and take care of that situation. But Brian Kemp, currently the governor of Georgia, he signed a bill that limits discussions on race in the classroom. So to my white brothers and sisters, and to maybe the ones I wouldn't consider brothers and sisters, to the MAGA crowd, I just got to ask you, you can't handle the truth? What are you afraid of? White America, what are you afraid of when it comes to the truth, the full truth of America's history being taught? And I don't want to hear, I don't want my kids to feel bad about themselves. No, you don't want them to feel bad about you or your ancestors, their ancestors. But feeling good is a good thing. It should feel good. If my ancestors had done anything that horrible and I found out about it, yes, I would feel bad about it. And I would make sure that it never happened again, which is why the true and accurate history needs to be taught. And your kids are gonna find out about it anyway. You can't hide the truth. But they're codifying this in law because we don't want to teach kids Senator Tim Scott. There are black folks that are some of the most virulent forms of anti-blackness comes out of the mouth of black people. Senator Tim Scott says critical race theory, first of all, once again, critical race theory is a theory that's only taught in law school, okay? So if anybody tells you that their elementary school, middle school, or high school is teaching critical race theory, they are lying to you. But what the whole MAGA crowd and the radical racist right-wing crowd, they don't want the full history about America being taught. You can't put the genie back in the bottle. People understand about slavery and racism and Jim Crow laws. It's in books. You can't get rid of all this stuff. So what are you afraid of? So young people, to my young white brothers and sisters, when you find out how horrible slavery was and the race, everything that involved just the transatlantic slave trade, and when Africans came to America, they were enslaved and they were sold off. Children were sold off from moms and dads, and women and men were raped and beaten. And the Jim Crow laws and even the Constitution initially that said black people were 3/5 human. And you learn about that, and it's okay to feel bad. And it's not your fault, but it's okay to feel bad about what a group of people did to another group of people. And you know why it's okay to feel bad? Because that means it shows that you are human and that you have compassion and empathy. And I thank God for that. I would thank God that you felt bad. I felt bad as a kid when I learned about the Holocaust. How could a group of people be so cruel and inhuman to another group of people? I said, oh my God, I hope that never happens. And if there's anything that I can do to make sure that that never happens again, I would do it. And that's what I hope young white kids, that's how I hope that they feel when they find out about how horrible slavery and racism and how just debilitating and systemic racism still exists. And if you feel bad about racism and you feel that it should end, then I hope that you use your privilege, power, position, or your whiteness to speak to other people that look like you to say, this is crazy. It's made up. This whole whiteness, this is the concept. Whiteness is made up, it's not real. There's nothing biological. There's nothing in the human genome that will describe whiteness. It was made up to separate people from each other by a small handful of people that wanted control of money, power, resources. Go back and binge watch the back episodes. Now, let me bring up my guests. I just had to, so that's just another reason why you and everybody you got to vote, register, vote, check your voter registration, check your status, and get 25 people, fraternities, sororities, folks that you hoop, play basketball with, play cards with, go on vacations with, do whatever, you go to the club with, go to church with, whatever you do. Get everybody, tell them they got it. Because, listen, either vote or lose your democracy. We are literally voting to save. And if you don't think if you don't think what's happening in Ukraine can't happen here, then you're not paying attention. And you're asleep. You can't afford to be asleep. Not today. I got to bring up my guest. Ladies and gentlemen, let me shift gears. All right, my guest today, listen, first of all, he has the #1 Sunday show on radio in Los Angeles. The man's been #1 for 25 years. He's a bad man. Also, media personality, sports reporter. He's worked for the Los Angeles Lakers and the Clippers, believe it or not. And he's still doing this thing. And full disclosure, he is about the closest thing that I have to a brother without sharing DNA. And I am honored to bring him back on the show because he's a star and he's been so busy. So he's like, all right, you family, I'm big timing in LA now, so I'll eventually get back to getting on your show. And as you can see, Black Don't Crack. Shout out, ladies and gentlemen, to #1 personality out there in the city of Angels, Mr. Andre Russell. What's up, boy? Yeah.
My man, Geno Jones. Ladies and gentlemen, Geno Jones and I started, we met in the early 90s, and he did a radio show in LA.
You telling me, man, you ain't supposed to tell everything.
His air name, and I still call him that today. We've known each other for 30 years. This is my man. Listen, Air Geno was his name, ladies and gentlemen. He did the morning show at KJLH in Los Angeles, and his legend precedes him. Air Geno, I'm so proud to be on your show, brother. How you doing, man?
I love you, man. You know that. Hey, listen, before we get started, you know, mother's watching. She is like she's my executive producer, and she critiques me every day, and my #1 fan. So you know, you like her other son. So
our mother is watching. Yeah. Our mother is watching. Hey, Mom. Hey, Mom. How you doing? I love you. How you doing, sweetie?
So we got to get you to the shot so she'd be excited. All right,
that's right.
So let's get right into it, man. I was teasing you coming on today. So we are in the
Geno, hold on. They're not teaching critical race theory in schools? What?
No, you didn't know
I didn't know that, man. Get out of here.
I know. Who knew?
They're not teaching it?
No.
What? Wow.
And they're not even teaching, and they only teach it like in law school. So they're not even teaching it in undergrad in college.
I know, man. Everything you said is so true. It's just such a ridiculous situation what's going on in this country and what continues to go on every day. And we just sit here and watch it happen in front of our eyes. Like, are people really this hateful and racist? Yes, they are. You know? Yes, they are.
Unfortunately, that's right. So Spike Lee had a line in one of the movies where he said, "Wake!" I think it was Sam Jackson's character. "Wake up! You better wake up."
Right.
All right. So the NBA playoffs is now the first round playoffs. So I've been looking forward to having this conversation with you. Actually, when the playoffs first started, but so now we kind of know, we kind of know who some of the favorites are. So. This man is well connected. He is connected like cable. No, he is. Listen, he is as well connected as anybody on the planet in terms of knowing the NBA, the ins and outs. So let's talk about the NBA playoffs, and you can just go where you want to go. The state of the NBA today. So who are you picking? So let me just start off, and I'm just going.
You say I'm connected. True story. About an hour ago. Somebody called me, somebody well connected. Their brother called me and said, "Hey man, I need to get in touch with Shaquille O'Neal. You got his number?" I'm like, "Yeah." Now, I don't have Shaq's number, but I got his manager's number. I said, "I can give you his manager's number, you know." But I'm not that connected, Geno.
Okay, he's being modest, all right, and he don't want me to put all his business out there. But now, since we're talking about connections, because you work with him, so you probably know where I'm going. But the reason I want to kind of jump ahead or jump back, I got a chance, and I called you, I guess, the other night. So when you had those missed calls from me about 10 o'clock your time, I'm up to.
Was it about the Magic Johnson situation, right?
Yes, I saw. They call me Magic, or they called him Magic. I sat up and I watched all 4 episodes, so that's why I was up till 1 o'clock. I loved it. I thought it was fabulous. So give me your take on it.
You're not going to believe this. You're not going to believe this, Geno. I have not watched it yet because I don't have Apple TV. So I will get around to watching it. I haven't watched it yet. I'm watching the other Laker thing on HBO or whatever.
What do you think about it? Because you were there, Dre. So give me your take, because there's been. So we talking about Winning Time. That's the HBO kind of not a documentary. It's almost because it's. I guess it's. I don't know what the hell you want to call it.
Right.
Their interpretation of what the Lakers were in the 80s.
It's based on the book. It's based from the book, but it's not everything based on the book about that a couple of writers did that covered the Lakers through the years from the LA Times and LA Herald newspapers. And they covered the Lakers during the Showtime era. So it's loosely, this television adaptation is loosely based on that book. But I think it's called Showtime or whatever. But I think a lot of it is accurate, Geno, but I think a lot of it is fictional because Jerry West is really mad at how they have him portrayed. He wasn't that strange because I worked for the Lakers. I worked under West. He was a different guy. For instance, he didn't like to stay in the arena when the game was being played. He was too nervous to watch the game and sit in the seat. He'd stand in the tunnel and watch for a while. Then he might disappear and be in his office. Or they might say he just left, drove away, and listened to the game on the radio. He was like really nervous But they have him portrayed on that show like throwing golf clubs and breaking windows and all that. That's a bit much. He didn't do all that stuff. First of all, they didn't have any windows in the forum. So his office didn't have any windows because we were all enclosed. There was no windows in there. True story. So some of it's true. Now, I'll be honest with you. Some of those actors, man, first of all, I think Norm Nixon's son does a great job playing Norm Nixon.
He looks like him,
doesn't he?
And
Norm's other son tried out for that same series, by the way. 2 of his sons tried out for that. but that son looks just like him. Now, the guy who plays Michael Cooper, I thought that was Michael Cooper. He looks just like Coop. I thought, oh, Coop's playing himself? Then I found out later it's not Coop. But they did a great job of casting. The guy had the way they framed the guy that plays Magic. He looks like him, just like him, and says things just like him in some of the roles. Same with the guy playing Kareem. But it's entertaining. It's entertaining, Geno, and I like it. I love it. I haven't seen the Magic piece yet, but I've heard it's really good. I'll get around to watching it. My apologies, I haven't seen it yet.
No, because I know, listen, like I said, Dre's, man, if you could see Dre's cell phone, his contacts, I'm telling you, you could probably become a millionaire again over just selling the contacts, because anybody and everybody, especially in LA, especially Black Hollywood, this man has got the contacts right here.
And the reason I didn't see Magic yet, let me be honest with you, 2 reasons. I've been busy getting ready for the NFL draft, which starts a little bit later today.
Right.
I've been busy with that for the last couple of weeks. And I'm mad at Magic because he had a party, a launch party, and did not invite me. I'm like, wait a minute, did it get lost in the mail? I could not believe it. No. Now, mind you, I could not have made it that night because I was filming some TV stuff. But on TV1, I was doing some unsung episodes. I'll be honest, I couldn't have made it, but the knucklehead didn't invite me, and I'm mad about that. So I'm sure he's going to say, oh, man, my assistant was supposed to call you and all this. But a lot of my friends went, and they called me from there saying, where are you? I'm like, where am I? Where? They're like, we're at the launch party with Magic. And then I was like, you got to be kidding me. And so I said, because of that, I said I was going to boycott it for 2 weeks and not watch it. So that's the real reason I haven't watched it. I said, I'm going to wait 2 weeks. So I just called him and texted him. I said, I'm not going to watch this for 2 weeks because you didn't invite me to your little party.
Did he text you back?
No, I hadn't heard back from him. He's been crazy busy anyway, and I know that.
Okay, good deal.
But anyway.
Well, you'll enjoy it.
Yeah, man.
Okay. So let's talk about the state of the NBA playoffs. I thought I had to throw that Magic thing in there because it was, and I know that you guys have worked together.
That's my guy.
Really,
yeah.
You guys are
Magic and I go way back. I started working for the Lakers and the NBA in the early 90s. So I've been knowing Magic for 30 years. Geno, I met him around the same time I met you, ironically.
Yeah.
So I've known Magic for around 30 years.
Yeah.
But the NBA playoffs, man, I think, well, first of all, you know this, Geno, when the season started, a lot of people said the Lakers in Brooklyn, and I said no to both of them. You know that. And needless to say, you see where the Lakers are. And I just felt like Brooklyn at the time, I didn't like James Harden on that. I said, James Harden's not a championship player. And as it turned out, none of those guys are. You see, they got swept by Boston. Wow. And so ever since February, I've said the 2 teams to beat in the East are the Boston Celtics and the Milwaukee Bucks. They both are still standing strong. In the West, I said the Phoenix Suns, and if Golden State could get a little bigger and remain healthy, I'll put them in there. Now, I still worry about them and their size, but I'll run through the different series. Boston swept Brooklyn, and I'm not surprised at all. I thought Brooklyn would get 1 win. I did. But Boston took them out, and Boston looks really good, man. That coach, that rookie coach, Ime Udoka for Boston, that brother is doing a great job. And those guys they play defense, man, and he has a great team. They could literally win the championship this year and next year. They're young and they're deep, and they play hard. Now, so Boston's going to be a problem.
Let me jump in here. Since we're talking about Boston right now, we were talking about Magic. And Magic, I'm not taking a shot at you, bro, because I love you, man. But I just got to be honest, Dre. I'm looking at Jason Tatum, and I'm saying, he's supposed to be in a Laker uniform. I understand that Lonzo and his daddy, but every time I look at Jason Tatum and I see him in a Laker uniform, then that's just
the Boston uniform, you mean?
No, I'm seeing him still. I'm telling you. Even when he's on the court with the damn Celtic, I'm seeing him. I'm fantasizing. I'm like, dude, you supposed to have that Lakers across the front of your chest.
I told you. I think I've told you this story many times, Geno. I never forget being at some of the rookie guys. Well, not rookies. They were college guys waiting for the draft, and the Lakers were trying out various players, right? And I was there with De'Aaron Fox, who, of course, is with Sacramento and was doing. And Magic wanted to draft him. And he also was looking at Tatum, but I never forget he said this because full disclosure, De'Aaron Fox's father and me grew up together in Mississippi and we're great friends. We played basketball together. So I was at the tryout with them, and Magic said, I want to draft Fox. I'm looking at Tatum, but I'm afraid if I don't, the press will eat me up for not drafting this local kid, Lonzo Ball. Well, you see what happened to Lonzo Ball. This guy never plays. He's street clothes number 2. He's almost as bad as Anthony Davis. He's always hurt. You saw what he did for the Bulls this year. Mostly just sat on the bench, injured. And the guy can play, but he's hurt. He's brittle. So Magic, yeah, he messed up, Geno.
Yeah.
He messed up not drafting Fox or Tatum. He messed up.
Well, really, Tatum. I mean, De'Aaron is nice, but I mean, Tatum is everything that people, even maybe more. And who is Tatum's idol? Rest in peace.
Yeah, but Kobe, of course.
Kobe.
But here's the other thing. Magic and those guys thought Kuzma was going to be Tatum. So they thought, well, let's get Fox. Well, if they would have gotten Fox, they needed a point guard bad at that time. So Magic was definitely going point guard. But they thought Kuzma was going to be their Tatum. And that, Kuzma's a decent player, but not nearly as good as Tatum.
Oh, he ain't nowhere close. I just had to, because when you're talking about Boston, because I can't even watch the Celtics. First of all, being a Lakers fan, that's blasphemy to pull for the Celtics. Exactly. But seeing this kid, knowing he really should be a Laker, it just does something really extra to me, Dre.
That was a bad move. Irvin messed up on that one, and he'll tell you now. Oh yeah, he'll say, "Yeah, I missed out on that one." Yeah.
What else could he say? Nothing else he could say.
Yeah, he missed out on that one.
You got to own that one. All right, so who do you got coming out of the Boston and Milwaukee? I think Boston's gonna win that series, man.
And Milwaukee beat Chicago 4-1. Of course, the Bulls had a nice team, but not a play. I knew early in the year. I said they're not a playoff team. I mean, they're a playoff team, but not winning a playoff series.
They're going to beat Milwaukee. No.
So, man, Geno, that's a tough one. I hadn't made up my mind yet, but I said Boston. It's too bad. First of all, it's not the Eastern Finals. They're not even playing. This not even the finals for the East. This is the quarterfinal. One of those really good teams is going to be done in a week or two.
Yeah.
Right now, Geno, because I found out Chris Middleton is out for that series totally, man, Boston's got a real good chance to win that series. You're right.
Yeah. And Chris is from here, and he's a good dude too, Dre. I know him. I met him. I worked with him. We've done a couple of promotions together. He's from Charleston. He was a star in high school here, but a good dude, really a good dude.
With a healthy Chris Middleton, I go with the Bucks.
Really?
Finding out today Chris Middleton is out for that series, I'm leaning towards the Celtics.
I think
towards the Celtics.
Even if Chris was healthy, the way the Celtics are playing now, and the defense, and I mean, you got 5 dudes, from what 6'4", 6'5" to 6'11" when they got like the kid Williams. So they can all switch. They can all guard. Whoever, 2s, 3s.
They're long. They got more wings than Popeyes, man. They got all those wings.
That's a good one.
6'7". They're long. They can play out on the perimeter, and that's what the NBA is about today. And Boston's loaded with them, and they're playing well. You're right. So this gives me an excuse to pick them with Middleton being out. But if Middleton wasn't out, I probably would still get a respect and go with the Bucks because they're defending champs. But I think that's a tough series. Definitely 7 games is what I'm looking at.
And Dre, in January, there was talk about, well, do we trade Tatum or do we trade Jaylen Brown? Man, I wish Pelinka, if he would have been smart, he'd have been like, y'all want to trade? Now, see, that would have been, all right, AD, y'all wanted AD? AD,
exactly.
I'm sorry, bro. You from the south side of Chicago. Dre will tell you, nobody's been a bigger fan and been advocating for you. But AD, I can't. I'm out, man. I love you, but I'm out, dude. We got to do something.
Jaylen Brown is a player. You know what, man? Nobody said this. I'm saying it right now on your show.
I didn't. I wouldn't have did it for Jaylen. I only for Tatum.
You're saying for Tatum.
Tatum. That's the
Let me
only
tell you
way I
something.
would have done.
Boston wasn't going to move Tatum. No, Brown was the one I heard they thought about at one time. They weren't going to move Tatum for nobody.
Okay.
They saw that guy was going to be a top 5 player. But I'm going to tell you something, Geno, I haven't said anywhere. I'm going to say it right now on your show. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, man, they remind me of Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen. They're that strong of a duo is what I'm saying. Those 2 guys together, man, they could be scary for a long time.
That's high praise, dude.
I'm telling you, together, now neither one of them is as good as Mike, but Tatum, I mean, together, they remind me of that duo, Jordan Pippen. I haven't seen a duo. I mean, Klay Thompson and Curry's an amazing duo in Golden State, but I meant they're a little bit bigger. I want somebody a little bit bigger. Man, those 2 guys in Boston are scary. They're that good, man. They're that good.
Yeah, because they play on both ends. I mean,
exactly.
Klay played on both ends. With Steph, nobody would ever mistake Steph for the defensive player of the year. I mean, he's gotten better defensive, but
he really has gotten better lately. He puts a lot of work into it now. He's much better defensive player the last year than he used to be.
Boy, that's high praise, dude. Man,
I'm telling you, man. Tatum and Brown. That's a scary duo to have, as young as they are and as good as they are,
How many years,
and as smart as they are.
How many years does Tatum have on his contract?
Well, he signed a new, he got a new deal now.
He's
both of them are locked up. Yeah, Tatum's locked up for a long time. He's locked up.
Jason,
they're not going to let either one of those. They definitely not letting Tatum go.
Jason, dude, you really need to. Should have come on. I'm just saying. Put on.
Them boys, Boston ain't crazy.
Who was your idol? All right, Larry Bird wasn't your idol. Bill Russell wasn't your idol. Who was your dude? Who do you pat? Come on, the Black Mamba.
Man, nobody wants to come to the Lakers now. That place is in disarray, brother. I hate to say it, Geno. I know that's your team, and I worked for them for years, but I tell it like it is. They're in disarray. They're in bad shape. They don't even know what they're doing over there, man. It's sad to see that organization in the situation they're in right now. From the front office all the way down through the team, bad shape.
So in essence, you're saying they have become the Dallas Cowboys of the NBA.
There you go. Hey, let me tell you, the first New York Knicks. Well, the first person they fired was the coach, Vogel. The second person they fired today was Judy Sato. Judy Sato was the strength and conditioning coach. She was the one that stretched the players and did massages. I'm like, that's the best y'all can do is fire her today? It's her fault. It's her fault that y'all didn't make the playoffs.
Right.
They fired Judy Sato.
And now they want to. They're blaming Clutch Sports.
I know, right?
So what is Rob Pelinka? So who is the GM? So Rob, at the end of the day, is you get the final say, even if LeBron could wait. Because if you say, well, LeBron and AD wanted him, well, LeBron wanted Ty Lue, but you didn't hire him, did you?
Exactly. LeBron's making noises about he'd like to see Mark Jackson, and they're not going to hire Mark Jackson. So yeah.
So you don't think there's no way they would hire Mark Jackson?
Nope. I don't think that anybody in the NBA is going to hire Mark because they blackballed him like the NFL did Colin Kaepernick. No, I don't think he's going to get hired, unfortunately. He's my friend, and I'd love for him to be would I love him to be the Lakers coach.
So I read something today, Drace, real quick. You mentioned that. Who is Rich Kleinman in the NBA?
Rich Kleinman?
Yeah, Kleinman. I read that somebody, I don't know if he's one of the owners, but I think one of there's some owner that's basically co-signing and saying that Mark Jackson. I read it today. I literally read this story today.
And what did he say about Mark?
That Mark should get a head coaching job, that he should get an opportunity to be a head coach.
Of course he should. Of course he should.
Right.
But I'm not sure that name, I'm not sure who that is.
So wasn't he on Magic's short list when Magic was the GM a couple years ago when
Magic wanted to, that's why Magic quit. Magic wanted to fire, first of all, Pelinka. And he said everybody's got to go. Luke Walton was the coach at the time. And that's why Magic walked in that night at the final Lakers home game that season and called an impromptu press conference and quit. And I was standing 10 feet from him. And the reporters had just finished talking, I think, to Luke Walton and maybe one of the players. It was right outside the Laker locker room. And when they walked away, the press started to disassemble. Magic said, hey, I want to tell you guys something. So a couple of cameramen, a couple of guys kind of turned around. He was like, I just want to announce that I'm resigning. I quit right now. And everybody was like, what? And Magic later told me and some other brothers privately, he said, man, I quit because I told Jeannie I wanted to come in tomorrow the next day and we needed to get rid of the coach, the GM. I wanted to do this. And he said, she was like, I like him. You sure we got to fire him? And all this. He said, man, I wasn't going through that. And he said, I didn't want her trying to talk me out of quitting. So that's why I just walked in here and announced it. And now I can't undo it. I quit.
Wow.
Wow. Yep.
So Mark was on the short list. So Ty Lue, LeBron wanted Ty Lue. Magic wanted Mark Jackson. Didn't Magic also want?
They wanted Monty
Williams.
Tyronn Lue. Yep. All those guys. Magic wanted the best coaches out there. And the Laker front office lowballed those guys. They wouldn't offer Ty or Monty Williams, who's the coach of the Phoenix Suns, and doing an amazing job.
Right.
The coach of the year, both of these guys, they're amazing young brothers, great coaches. And the Lakers lowballed both of them, offered them 3-year deals, a little bit of money. And Tyron's like, are you crazy? I go get the Clippers. They give me 5 years and all this money. And same thing with Monty. Went to Phoenix, got 5 years and a lot more money. So that was the Lakers' way of running them away. They wouldn't offer Jason Kidd a deal. We'll let you be the assistant. Babysit Mr. White Man over here. You know what I mean? And Jason did it for a year. Now where is he? He's in Dallas, head coach. So the Laker organization is in their front office. They're in disarray now.
I hate to hear that. Wow. But that's the
Well,
truth.
it's the same thing happening in Brooklyn. They got Steve Nash, made him head coach, and got one of my dear friends, David Vanterpool and Jacques Vaughn, babysitting him. The two guys should be head coaches. They're sitting there babysitting Nash. Nash has never coached. He's never even coached the NAI team, Geno. He never coached a high school team, a junior high. He never even coached a polo team, brother. He ain't coached nobody. And, it's like, how you going to be the head coach of the Brooklyn Nets, Nash? So I'm not surprised they ended up like they ended up. Because they said Kyrie Irving didn't respect him at all.
Well, remember, before the season started, Kyrie said, and I think Durant was in the press conference, he's like, well, we don't really need a coach or a head coach. We can kind of coach ourselves.
Exactly. That's the attitude.
Who wanted Steve Nash?
The GM was buddies with him. The GM,
Sean Marks.
buddy. Yeah, we was buddies. Hey, Geno, you talked about it earlier. Talk about critical race theory. It's the good old boy syndrome, brother. And so come on in here, Steve. You were a good player. So let's make you the head coach. Let's make you the face of the franchise. And we'll let the colored men sit on the side of you and teach you how to coach a little bit, help you out. You know what I mean?
Well, that blew up in their face. I don't know. They're going to have to do something because that was an epic. I don't know which was worse between the Lakers. I mean, at least, like you said, street clothes / AD was he was hurt once again for damn near half the season. So, and then even though it's the Westbrook experiment was an epic fail, but man, Brooklyn, what the Nets did was.
You know what, Geno? They both are horrible. If I had to vote for one, I would take the Lakers a little bit over Brooklyn because they didn't even make the play-in.
But,
and they were just so bad with bringing in all those older players. It was just a fiasco. I guess because I saw that up close.
Yeah, you did.
Only thing about Brooklyn, if they could have got Ben, and this is a coulda, woulda, shoulda, and it's spilled milk now, but if they could have gotten Ben Simmons on the court, say a month ago, they might have had a little hope because I think Ben Simmons, playing at his best, like he was, say, a year, when he was with Philly before he sat out a year, he's going to distribute that ball and not have it in Kyrie's hands all the time and not having the Durant's all the time. And he plays defense and he rebounds. He's 6'10". He would have helped them a lot. So, in other words, instead of getting swept by Boston, they might have got beat 4-2 or 4-3. You see what I'm saying?
So
I think he would have helped them.
So my question is, would he have played?
But that's what I'm saying. If the guy would have been ready and played, but but when they come back in the fall, I think their future's a little bit brighter than the Lakers because of him. Once you put him out there, and if Durant and Kyrie are, in shape, and mainly Kyrie up here, if he's ready to play,
I was about to say, come on. Wait, that's two of them.
A better team. And they have
wait, you talking about where Kyrie's head at? And this is no shade because I take mental health very serious. Okay, I've seen that. I've seen it up close and personal. I know what, my mom has had panic attacks. So mental health is no joke. But
no doubt.
I don't know what this I don't know what this dude's story is, but I'm just saying you got two dudes. He couldn't handle the situation. Wait, if you couldn't handle the situation and Embiid and Doc Rivers and the Philly media and fans, dude, in Brooklyn, in New York City, and at New York media?
Man, it's a strong rumor that Doc Rivers might end up as the next Laker coach. I'm going to throw that in there, by the way. You brought up his name.
I would.
Because he's not going to be back in Philly. That GM, that's not his boy. They want to bring in Mike D'Antoni. Everybody knows. It's the worst kept secret ever because that's his boy, Geno.
What has Daryl Morey won? I don't care how many times the Doc Rivers teams lost the 3-1 lead. At least he's won an NBA championship and damn near won 2 because they did.
Mike D'Antoni's done absolutely nothing.
Nothing.
And James Harden and him are connected at the hip. That's how Harden got that ridiculous contract that he made. He's going to be making almost $50 million a year next year because of Morey. And it's no rhyme or reason. It's just that's his boy. So Doc is going to be out. And so a strong rumor has him ended up with the Lakers because I don't know. Most people don't know Magic Johnson and Doc Rivers are best of friends.
Right.
So Magic's not running the Lakers yet, but he says Jeannie Buss calls him for info and what should I do and this, that, and the other. And she also is calling Phil Jackson, apparently asking him, what should I do?
Well,
but,
unless you calling Phil and asking him to go out on a date with you, if y'all asking him to get back together with you, then you need to stop talking to him about putting together a team because what he did, just see the Knicks.
I know he don't have a clue.
See the Knicks, okay?
Well, let me just say this. I think she's been listening to him. That's how come the Rambises are so prevalent in what the Lakers do, because Kurt Rambis and Phil Jackson are tight. They're tight. And then Kurt Rambis's wife, Linda Rambis, is Jeannie's best friend, apparently, but she tells her what to do, and Jeannie listens, because Linda Rambis was kind of like her babysitter when they were young. When Jerry Buss wanted to have somebody to watch over Jeannie when she was 18, 19 years old, he said, hey, Linda, can you keep an eye on Jeannie tonight? She's going out to the dance or a party, whatever. And Linda was the one, because she was 5, 6 years older. That's how they became tight back in the day. And they still tight today.
But at some point, okay, you worked for the Lakers, so you worked, well, Dr. Buss was still alive, but you worked with Jeannie. So at some point, I know Jeannie is hearing, not just from Magic, but other people who know basketball in the league, talking about the Lakers being a joke. At some point, Jeannie's got to realize what is this whole Ramby situation. It hasn't. What has Kurt Rambis done as a coach or as a GM? Not a damn
but
thing.
She's her best friend's husband, Geno. That's where it happens.
Well, listen, if y'all that tight, I get it. Like Dre and I family. But trust me, if I was effing up, he would be like, gee,
right.
I got you, dude. Here. You're going to get this check, but I'm going to need you to slide.
Right. No doubt. So
I'm trying to get this championship, man. You got to help me out, get out the way.
Yeah, I don't, even if a Doc Rivers or somebody comes in, I don't know. And, they got their eye, by the way, on Quinn Snyder from Utah, who hadn't won anything either, by the way. He's going to be out at Utah.
Wait a minute. Utah, didn't they just lose? Didn't they just get eliminated? Or was that game?
It's Dallas leads 3-2.
Yeah.
They will be eliminated soon, though. They're going to lose that series. You can believe that.
I thought they already lost. Exactly. So they're about to lose.
But Quinn Snyder's already made a comment that I don't know if I want that job now, because the way they did the last coach found out he was fired on social media or whatever, But Quinn Snyder already knows, with him making that comment, he already knows if he wants that job, he could probably have it.
Quinn Snyder, we don't want your ass. Well, Laker fans don't. We don't want your ass.
Exactly.
Stay in Salt Lake City, please. Not at all.
Yep, I agree.
What have you done? Your team has underachieved in the postseason. Do well in the regular season, underachieved in the postseason. So stay your ass up in Salt Lake City, please. Do us all a favor.
So apparently Pelinka's have been blowing kisses to Juwan Howard. But the problem is the other part of Laker management is saying we want somebody with experience. Juwan's never been a head coach, in the NBA. And Juwan might not want to leave Michigan because he has 2 sons now that are there playing on his team, A. And B, Juwan, well, the way that happened, I don't know if Pelinka and Juwan Howard played together in college. Pelinka was a member of the Fab Five.
Right.
I know you know that, Geno Jones. And Pelinka's
he wasn't a member. He was on the team.
He was a bench rider, as they used to say back in the day. He was a water boy.
Right.
Yeah, he rode the bench.
He was giving out the Gatorade.
Yeah. And then Magic has ties with Juwan Howard because of his time in Miami. Juwan was an assistant coach during the time when LeBron was there. Right. I'm sorry, I don't know if I said Magic. I meant LeBron. Had ties when LeBron was with the Miami Heat and with Dwayne Wade and those guys. Juwan Howard was an assistant coach. So those are the connections to Juwan Howard, but I don't see him hiring him. And I don't know if Juwan even wants to come get in this mess, especially having 2 sons on that Michigan team. So
that I didn't realize he had 2 sons that's on the team. Really?
He has 2 sons.
Were they on the
team?
I
think one was on the team. One was on the team last year, and I think the other one's incoming.
Okay.
Yeah, one was on this past season's team. Yes, he didn't start, but he was on the team. Yeah,
I didn't know that. I think he's gonna make I think Juwan is gonna make a great head coach.
I do too. I would like to see the Lakers bring in somebody like that, but I don't see it happening, man. You're going to hear all kind of rumors. They mentioned Mike Brown, who's a Golden State assistant. But Mike Brown has already been here. I'm like, how you going to hire these guys that's already been here? D'Antoni has already been on the staff. Not D'Antoni, but Quinn Snyder. He's already been here on the staff, and D'Antoni too.
Jeannie,
but yeah, it's
Jeannie Buzz. Please just listen to me, Jeannie, because Dre tell you, I love the Lakers. See, even Dre had to disown y'all. Dre used to love y'all. Dre worked for y'all, okay? I still got love for you, but you're making me look bad. Please, Jeannie, you got to put your personal feelings aside. Listen, go ahead, tell Kurt Linda, give him some other title, but you got to get them out the damn way.
It ain't going to happen, Geno. It ain't going to happen.
If not, you are going to, okay, all you got to do is just look at New York City. Look at the Knicks. And now you can say the Knicks and the Nets. Look at the
And
Cowboys.
let me tell you this. So even though we're just talking about head coaches, we haven't talked about the players on the Lakers yet. I'm going to tell you what's keeping, and this is what kept Tyronn Lue from coming to the Lakers. Another thing, they want to pick the assistant coaches for these guys. You don't do that. You can't do that. And already they're saying Kurt Rambis wants to be on the bench. So whoever they bring in, he wants to be an assistant coach. Or don't let them fool around and say we can't find a head coach. They might name Kurt Rambis the head coach. Don't rule that out.
Don't do this.
I know, brother, it hurts you. So I'm just saying.
I got to find a new team to root for after 30 plus years? No.
Hey. All right, let's change. Let me finish your question. You asked me about the playoffs. Let's talk about the winning team.
Yeah.
Let me tell you a series to watch out for.
Let me talk about some teams that matter.
Let me tell you the best series that's going on right now, still going on, man. Phoenix Suns and New Orleans. Who expected New Orleans to be this good? And I know Phoenix is without Devin Booker out with a hamstring injury. But man, 3-2, Phoenix 3 games to 2 over New Orleans. New Orleans is now that's a good young team. And that young coach, Willie Green, rookie coach, doing a great job, man. Great brother doing a great job. That's a good series right there. I expect Phoenix to win the series, but New Orleans is making them work.
See, and you got me going again, Drake, because now you got me, you're going to have me tripping again because I'm like, okay, who's on that squad right now that had on purple or gold and they chose Kuzma over him?
Oh yeah, Ingram.
So whose decision was that to choose? Was that Pelinka to choose Ingram? I mean Kuzma over Ingram, or was it that New Orleans didn't want Kuzma?
The whole organization decided Kuzma was their guy. I don't know. I mean, once again, I guess the Rambises and whoever they decided Kuzma was their boy. They made him the golden child. You know, and they like. We have one untouchable, Kyle Kuzma.
Really? Did you hear? I heard, way over here, but I know you right there. I'd heard that New Orleans really they didn't want Kuzma, that if they were going to do the deal, that they wanted B.I., Brandon Ingram. So
yeah, because people saw Kuzma. Some people thought Kuzma was going to be just Hollywood. He had already started to kind of show a little Hollywood side. So he started fooling with Kardashians and doing other stuff, and they're like, uh-oh. So yeah. The two guys that just left him in the dust, and these guys were comparable at one point, back to Jason Tatum, Brandon Ingram, Kyle Kuzma. Look how Ingram and Tatum have taken the next step, the next 2 steps, and Kuzma regressed, and then ended up getting traded to Washington. So, yeah, they traded. Man, I did an article the other day for a paper, and I said it's great watching the Lakers in the playoffs this year, and I said it tongue-in-cheek. And I named all the players from the Lakers that are in the playoffs, man. They got them all over these teams. You got players from the Lakers all over the league, man. Even Ibaka Zubac from the Clippers. I was like, they gave that kid away to have enough cap room to bring in Davis and LeBron. And literally, they gave away young players, man. They have young players all over the league,
That's true.
That from JaVale McGee in Phoenix and Jordan Clarkson in Utah. I mean, you can just D'Angelo Russell in Minnesota. You can go up and down. We just said Ingram in New Orleans. You can go up and down these rosters, and it's former Caruso in Chicago. They're all Lonzo Ball, who has been injured. But all these teams I'm naming have Lakers players that are still young. Only one that's older that's playing on another team in the playoffs is JaVale McGee.
Right.
He's helping Phoenix immensely because they needed a good backup center. But yeah, their players are scattered all over the league, man. And that's not even mentioning Caldwell Pope and Montrezl Harrell, who ended up in Washington. So yeah, they made some terrible decisions, personnel decisions.
With Utah, so he's still playing. Clark's up in Utah. Jordan Clarkson.
Yep. That's what I'm saying. There's a lot of players on these various teams still playing that were from the Lakers roster. Yep.
So and that's, you just mentioned Phoenix and New Orleans. So you think Phoenix is going to pull it out?
Danny Green, even at Philly. Danny Green still playing. He was on that Laker bubble championship team.
So I won't go back to Philly in a minute, but so you think that Phoenix can pull it out? I heard today there's some talk about why are they taking a chance with Devin Booker? That hamstring, you need to just try to.
I hear he's out at least for a couple more days or a couple more games or whatever I heard. I doubt if he plays in this series anymore because they only need to get one more win out of 3. They're up 3-2. He's not going to play. But because I didn't realize how bad they have so much depth. But that position, that one guy, that shows their kryptonite, man. Without him, they look totally different, man. And New Orleans is just so energetic, you know.
Yeah,
So if Phoenix is totally healthy, I think they're the best team in the league. Golden State's great, but Golden State is so small, boy.
Yeah.
They're going the opposite way. They playing serious small ball, you know, with all those guards. And even though I love Jordan Poole, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, they're like my favorite team still playing. But I don't know if they can win that small. Even though I'm glad they took out Denver and that joke called the Joker. I can't stand him, and I'm glad he's done because I think he's so overrated. And they're going to get this guy MVP again, and I think that's horrible. I think Antetokounmpo in Milwaukee, or Joel Embiid at Philly, or Steph Curry or somebody else to be MVP. I don't think that guy's the best player in the NBA. I just don't.
No. He's an excellent player. You know, he paid. Listen, I can't take away his skill. He is an excellent player. Some would argue great player, but I mean, does that translate to winning? Now, people can say
he's a good player, and he just got beat 4-1. That's all I'm going to say.
Right? Does it translate?
I'll say he's a good player, and he got beat 4-1. He's not the best player in the league.
Does it?
No way.
Oh no, nowhere near close to being the best player in the league. Mm-mm. No, not at all.
Yeah.
So, and then who? So, what other series have we talked about? So,
well, now here's one. Boy, them young boys beating up on each other. Memphis Grizzlies and the Minnesota Timberwolves. Ooh, that's an entertaining series right there. Memphis is going to win, but boy, Minnesota's going to kick themselves all summer because they've had a chance to win a couple of those games that they've lost.
Yeah, they did.
So they've been in every game and had control, and they've blown a couple of big leads. But boy, that Memphis Grizzlies, that team is loaded with good young players, man. Yeah. They're going to be a force to be reckoned with for a while, man. Memphis is good. They're good.
Now, what's going to get tricky pretty soon? Everybody going to want to get a check because job about to get a big check. So they're not going in Memphis. They're not going to be able to pay all them cats. So that's
no doubt about it. They better enjoy it while they can. They'll have a good 2-year run, and then, like you said, then they're going to have to start paying guys, and you'll start losing some of those really good role players like Bain or Brooks or some of those guys. They won't be able to keep them all.
And I'm sure
right now.
No, go ahead. Finish your thought. I was just going
to say right now, though, they on a roll. They got all the. You know, the oldest guy on their team is 28 years old. He doesn't even play. One of their backups.
Wow.
They are so young. It's never been a team this young to have this much success in the playoffs. Never in NBA history.
I knew they were young. I didn't know they were that young. But talking about Memphis, listen, I know Josh is saying he cool in Memphis, but he's become, this dude is a superstar. And at some point, listen, LA and New York City going to be
they're going to be knocking.
Hey, even Chicago.
The next guy in a small market to change teams is probably going to be Zion Williamson. Now, this guy never plays. He's always hurt. But if he ever gets healthy halfway, and I think he will if he gets out of New Orleans because he does not want to be there. I mean, look how good they're playing with him.
So you don't think that seeing the success the team is having now, you don't think that he wants to be there?
No,
really?
He's going to be out. And let me tell you where I think he's going to end up because the league wants this, and it would be great for all involved. New Orleans is straight without him. Now, look how good they're doing now without him. Put him in there. That might mess up. I don't know if the chemistry will work with him.
That was my next question about that.
But here's the move. The New York Knicks are ready to give up the farm for this boy. So let the Knicks get him a couple of young players and a couple of number ones. Let it happen, brother. Yeah. Put him in New York. Because the Knicks, one day I want the Knicks to be good again. The Knicks haven't won a championship, you guys, since 1973. When they had Earl the Pearl Monroe and Walt Frazier and Willis Reed. How can you go that long and haven't won a championship? You've got teams in sports that's been around for 10 years, 15 years and won championships. The Knicks haven't won since 73.
Well,
haven't been really good since the 90s with Patrick Ewing and Pat Riley.
Well, I don't want the Lakers to become that. So, Jeannie Buss, get your ish together.
Only way the Lakers, okay. Now I'm going to say it since
you
got me on, Geno. You know I'm going to tell the truth.
I know you
The only way I think the Lakers can be relevant again within the next couple of years is to trade Anthony Davis and obviously get Westbrook off the payroll one way or the other. Trade Davis and try to recoup a couple of young talents and a couple of draft picks. Because not having any draft picks to 2027, you don't have any assets. You don't have any cap room. So unless you get Davis off that roster and Westbrook, then you have some cap room. You'd have some maneuverability. You'd have some draft picks. But they have nothing right now. They can't sign anybody. They can't draft anybody. What you going to do? I mean, they're stuck.
Well, I got an idea. And I thought about this in joking, but I'm serious. Somebody please make sure that Jeannie Buss is watching this. Jeannie Buss, listen. I got your GM for you. I know you tight with Rob and the whole 9 yards. You probably think he's cute or whatever. We want championships. We watching Winning Time. We got love for your dad. We got love for you. Everybody loves you, Jeannie, but everybody ain't going to keep loving you if the Lakers start losing. If the Lakers become the Knicks or the Cowboys, they ain't going to love you. Come on, L.A., you know how L.A. is. L.A. is a Laker town, all right? Life is better when the Lakers are winning. So I have a solution. Who you need to hire as a GM. Even if you just make him a consultant, but listen to him and not Pelinka.
Who, Geno?
The guy, this man on the screen. He's laughing. I am dead serious. I am serious as a heart attack. Okay, so Jeannie, I tell you what, here's my challenge, Jeannie. I'll even pay for the lunch or the dinner. Give me your Cash App. I will Cash App you. All right?
Geno, you kind,
even
brother.
if I got to go, I'll take out a loan to pay for y'all's dinner because I might need to take out a loan to pay for dinner out in L.A.
Now, let me just, I appreciate you saying that.
No, let me say this.
Okay.
Here's my challenge, Jeannie.
Okay.
Have dinner, have lunch with this man for 30 minutes. You don't even need an hour. 30 minutes and just talk about basketball. You'll be like, oh, snap. I didn't know this dude was this smart. I'm just telling you.
But Geno, I appreciate it. But let me tell you something. It's going to get worse. And maybe she will want to call somebody because this is a team we didn't mention. And they're right here in L.A. The Clippers are going to be really good next year and the year after because they got a nice nucleus. And they were basically this year setting it up for next year. That's why they held Kawhi Leonard out the whole year. And Tyronn Lue is a top 2 coach in the league. I asked other players and people who they like. Everybody says the best 2 coaches in the league are Tyronn Lue and Monty Williams. 3 actually, and the coach at Miami, Spoelstra. Everybody said those are the 3 best coaches because they know how to deal with players. Players love them, and they're just great strategy guys and tacticians. So
even over Doc? Even over Doc?
Over Doc.
Really?
Doc. Wow. The other one that was on the list, but he's fallen off now because they expect him to retire this year is Popovich at San Antonio. But yeah, the 3 best coaches, according to everybody in the know and players and other scouts, they say it's Spoelstra, Spoelstra, Williams in Phoenix, and Monty Williams in Phoenix, and Tyronn Lue. Now, the Clippers have some young pieces. They have their team in place. They have their big 3. They picked up under the radar. People didn't realize they picked up Norman Powell this year.
Yeah.
They got Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, Norman Powell, plus a lot of great role players around them, the Nicholas Batums, and just different players they picked up, man. They have a lot of pieces, and they feel like they're only another point guard, a backup, or a starting point guard away from being a top 5 team. And so believe me, with Jerry West over there consulting and all the basketball minds they have in place, definitely different from what the Lakers have in place, the Clippers are going to be a top 5 team next year without a doubt.
Damn it.
So can you imagine the Clippers winning a championship in LA? That's what I'm getting at. You think it's bad now in the Lakers? Can you imagine what it's going to feel like to have the Clippers, first of all, haven't had a losing season in 10 years. People don't realize that. They haven't had a losing season in 10 years.
Really?
Lakers haven't had but about 2 winning seasons in 10 years.
Damn.
I mean, once you think about it, and because they ended off the Kobe era bad, and then they got the bubble and won a little bit in the bubble, and since the bubble, they've been garbage. So, it's going to be bad, man. I don't see a way out for the Lakers, and they're doing something I would not do. If she does call me, Geno, I would tell her not to give LeBron James a $93 million 2-year extension this summer, because that's just making that hole deeper, because LeBron will be 40 years old. He's not going to be, he's going to eat up so much of the cap room, and they're probably still going to have Davis eating up a lot of the cap room. LeBron's going to be making about 55. Davis is going to be making about 45. And you're not going to have room to bring in other guys. And LeBron at that age is probably going to start breaking down a little more. I'd let him play this year, and after he breaks Kareem's record, I'd say bye. I'd have that cap room, and I'd move on. I would not give him a 2-year extension, which is going to mean 3 more years of LeBron James in LA. I wouldn't do it.
So what if he says, okay, look, all right, I'm not, look, I ain't trying to break the bank, but I want a championship, and I want to be able to put some dudes around me, some young cats, some young lions, because okay. You're there now.
If he does that, I say, okay, how much you going to come down? If he wants to play for $10 million or something, 20, yeah. But not
you can't. It's LeBron. You can't insult him now. We can't insult the dude.
But also, you want these young players, you got to be able to take way less money, because if he going to eat up $50 million, we'll just round it off there. You can't bring in other people, really. You know what I mean? No, not significant people. For instance, Zach LaVine is going to be the top free agent this summer from the Bulls. He's the only significant unrestricted free agent this summer. There's a couple of good restricted free agents, DeAndre Ayton in Phoenix, Miles Bridges in Charlotte, but unrestricted, Zach LaVine's really the only one. Now, wouldn't the Lakers love to have him back here? He went to UCLA. Of course, he'd be great, but they don't have any cap room for him. You can't bring in Zach LaVine. So I'm just saying, you can't bring in other good young players because all the money's tied up in 3 guys right now. You know?
Well, Westbrook, they got to get it. He even I heard and read, he took all of his Lakers stuff off his social media platforms. He deleted all his Laker text or any images of the Lakers. He got rid of all that on his social media.
Sooner or later, he's out of here. He knows it. Even though he's from LA, lives in LA. I won't out in LA because he lives here. He's out of the Lakers. He knows that. But how they get him off is the key. You know, are they able to find a partner that wants to give him some bad contracts and take his bad contract back? Or do they just buy him out and stretch his deal, which is not going to happen, by the way, because the Lakers are not they're not flush with cash like, say, Steve Ballmer and the Clippers, or like the guy who owns the Brooklyn Nets, or like Mark Cuban in Dallas. They're a family business, and those 5 siblings are the ones that they check every 2 weeks, those bus kids. So they're not going to give Westbrook that much money and tell him goodbye. They can't afford to, I don't think.
Really?
But that's a way out. Yeah, but they're not going to stretch him. I would say stretch him, give him $16 million this year, $16 next year, and $16 the following year, and then you're done with him. But here's the deal. They can stretch those contracts over NBA so it won't for salary cap purposes, but they got to give him that money. So they don't have $47 million to hand Russell Westbrook.
They can't buy him out and just cut him?
Well, you could offer him less, but I don't know if he'll take it. But he ain't going to take much less. I bet if they offered him 40, would Westbrook take 40? I don't know. But that's still a lot.
So that money,
he ain't going to take no 20. You know what I'm saying?
So that money is guaranteed, even if they
it's
cut
guaranteed.
him. So they got.
They got to pay him. So he's going to get $47 million next year from somebody.
Jeez.
Yeah, he and James Harden are the highest 2 paid players in the league next year, 47 each.
Somebody need to be fired for that. Jeez.
But here's my thing: how are they making more than Steph Curry and LeBron James and all these guys? How those 2 guys? Exactly. How do you give those 2 guys more than these other great players that we talk about around the league?
So let me fantasize. So if Doc comes to the Lakers, how many years? And you got D'Antoni going to the Sixers. D'Antoni is not a fan of big men. You know, he don't
exactly.
So what would be the chance that Embiid could wind up the next great big man in
You never know. You never know, Geno, because like you said, D'Antoni don't fancy big men. Hey, it could happen, brother. It could very well happen. I mean, they'd have to, once again, they'd have to get rid of Westbrook, Anthony Davis, give him a bunch of money, bring him in. Yeah, you can fantasize.
So I'm rooting. So I'm rooting for the Sixers to lose, even though I like Doc. So here's a trade: Doc Rivers and Embiid, and y'all can have Anthony Davis. You can have Kurt Rambis and Linda, Rob Pelinka. Let me see the Laker. Keep the Laker girls. Keep the Laker.
Doc and Joel Embiid are tight, by the way, Geno. So that's helps your fantasy a little bit.
Okay, all right. So see, there's hope. Yep. There's always hope, Dre. There's always hope. And they hire you as the GM. Come on now. Listen, we be right back on top, baby.
Hey, man. Hey, you right.
We'll be right back on top. So, all right, look, give me who's going to the finals, who's going to win, and then I want to talk about something happened 30 years ago this week that changed history in America, and you were right in the middle of it, so I want you to just share your experience. It's real powerful. So who you got in the finals? And
all right, in the finals, this is going to shock you, Geno. I got the Boston Celtics and the Phoenix Suns.
Not at all.
Or the Boston Celtics and the Golden State Warriors had decided. Let me see. It depends. If Booker's playing and he's healthy, I'm saying Phoenix. Okay. If Booker's out, or Chris Paul gets hurt, and he gets hurt annually, then I'm going to say Golden State. But let me put it this way. If everybody's healthy from where they are now pretty much, I'm going to say Phoenix and Boston.
So who's going to hold up that Larry O'Brien trophy?
Phoenix Suns.
Okay.
Phoenix Suns.
All right. Here we go.
Yep.
All right.
Phoenix Suns. If they're healthy, I'm going. You know what? Chris Paul is a heck of a player, and I think he'll be that veteran that everybody's saying, "Oh, Chris finally got a ring." I say Phoenix Suns and Chris Paul. The only reason I'm not saying the Warriors, if they had the young boy Weissman, who they drafted last year, #1 out of Memphis, he's been hurt almost the whole couple of years in the league. He's 7 foot. If he was playing, I'd go with them. They're not big enough, in my opinion. And even though they're shooting, in the playoffs, sometimes those shots might not fall, or teams might figure out a way to shut out one of the Splash Brothers, and maybe only 2 is splashing. I worry about the Warriors just relying on the jump shot all the time and not having any inside game.
Yeah.
Draymond's a great piece, complementary piece. He makes their team go, but he doesn't score. You know, he's not a scorer.
Right.
Great defensive player and great facilitator. But yeah, they don't have that big man, and that's the only reason I'm not picking the Warriors. Phoenix, on the other hand, has 3 of them. They got DeAndre Ayton, JaVale McGee, and picked up some insurance and Bismack Biyombo. So they got 3 bigs.
Yeah.
And if they're healthy with Booker and Chris Paul and those great role players, and they got some long wings too, Geno, Bridges and those guys, Johnson.
Yeah, they do.
Phoenix Suns are my pick.
And even either Boston or Milwaukee, Phoenix would have the size to deal with a Giannis,
Exactly.
Jason Tatum. They could match size with size.
Right.
So
But that's why they went and picked up JaVale McGee and Biyombo. Last year, Giannis wore them out, if you remember.
Yeah, he did.
And they didn't have but one big man, and that was Aiden. And Aiden in the playoffs looked like the championship round looked like a deer in headlights.
Yeah, he did.
And so they went out and picked up 2 bigs to go along. Smart front office. Guess who their front office is run by? A brother. Remember? You know?
Yeah, what's his name?
Who played in Cleveland and with LeBron and everything.
James Jones. Yeah, my man.
James Jones.
James
Jones
right.
is the GM.
That's
so
right.
they got
James
a black
Jones.
coach and a black GM.
Right.
And look what Phoenix is doing, man. But you don't hear a lot about them. You never hear about them saying, oh, they got a brother running. You don't hear nothing about James Jones. Name never comes up for executive of the year or anything.
That's a good point. What's shocking, Phoenix's owner has a reputation of
Robert
being
Sarver.
racist. Sarver.
Exactly.
You can Google Robert Sarver
Yep.
and racism. And so it ain't me calling them racist.
Yeah.
I mean, it's documented that he's
it's some investigations going on right now involving him. And that's why James Jones got the job. He's trying to say, oh, let me hire a brother. Let me get out of this. Where's one I can hire? Anybody? Yeah. Hey, you got any hey, Ray, you got any cousins I can hire? I mean, that's how James Jones got in there, man. And the same thing in Milwaukee. Don't forget it, Geno. That owner has some things they say he's done. And what did he do? Hey, Dwayne Wade, want to buy a piece of the team? Come on in, B. We'll call you a part owner.
About Utah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't know who I said, but I meant the Utah Jazz.
Yeah, you mean
I'm sorry.
Utah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's
no,
okay.
Utah Jazz is who I meant. So he got Dwayne Wade in there to try to cover that up for him. Oh, yeah. These guys are something else. They do things and then they get caught. I can't believe nobody's caught they still can't get Snyder out of Washington, man, no matter what he does. I'm talking football now.
Wow.
He's got a reputation for doing all kind of dirt, but he's still in there.
Well, the NFL is different. Because, see, Snyder's just the only one that we found out about. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sure that, boy, if they, like sometimes in my neighborhood, some neighborhoods you could pick up like a rock or a boulder and you would see all these worms and ants crawling around.
Yeah.
Man, if they pick up that boulder in the NFL, you're going to see a whole lot.
You see a whole lot of sheets under there, Geno.
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to say. A whole bunch of sheets.
Absolutely.
You see all kind of sheets.
But you ain't even got to lift the rock up. They probably wear theirs out.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, it ain't like they trying to hide it. It is out in the open.
Yeah, a fact is most NBA owners are Democrats. Most NFL owners or all NFL owners are Republicans.
Yes.
And that's a fact.
That's right. You can look at the campaign contributions in 2016. I like 9 of the NFL owners, 9 or 10 of them had donated to, as I call them, Orange Hitler's campaign. So before you get out of here, this week, 30 years ago, something that really changed history, not just here in America, but globally, happened right there in LA. You were right in the middle of it, man. Talk about that experience. And 30 years later, out in LA, since the legendary LA riots, what has gotten better? What's gotten worse? Have things gotten better, stayed the same, or gotten worse?
Well, we're talking about the civil unrest, as some like to call it, or the Rodney King riots, when Rodney King was beat half to death by all those cops on video. The whole world saw it, and they found those cops innocent. And boy, they tore up LA, brothers and sisters, and we ain't having it. Only difference now, Geno, what happened after George Floyd and those riots and things this past summer or last year, they now in LA, they're going to Beverly Hills tearing up stuff. They're going up to Hollywood tearing up stuff. They're not tearing up their neighborhoods like they did 30 years ago.
Yeah.
30 years ago, I worked for a radio station, I still work for it today, KJLH, which is owned by Stevie Wonder, where Geno and I worked together. We were on Crenshaw Boulevard back in those days, where they filmed a lot of Boys in the Hood.
Yes.
They literally filmed a lot of those scenes right outside the radio station. I could watch them. I was on the air watching them out the window, filming scenes. Maurice Chestnut and those guys. So back then, they tore up the black neighborhoods and burned everything down. I literally on the air, looking out of the radio station, watching buildings across the street burn up. Everything in that neighborhood burned down pretty much except the radio station and a funeral home, Angela's Funeral Home, which is next door, was next door to KJLH. Those are the only two things pretty much in that 2 or 3 block radius that did not get burned down. And it was crazy. It was scary. I remember going to and from work, having to pass by National Guard with rifles, long guns, stopping you, every car, stopping you, looking in there, where you going? Because they thought you part of looting or something. I said, I'm leaving the radio station, going home. Okay, go ahead. You know, and the same thing, that went on for about 3 or 4 days. And the riots literally started, the anniversary, official 30th anniversary will be day after tomorrow, Saturday, and the 30th. And it went on for about 4 days, burning and looting and killing. And it was crazy, man. And, you know, it was all because of the racist stuff. You know, people just got sick of being sick of stuff. Yeah, man. You know, a lot of people harken back to the Watts riots and what happened. Well, the Rodney King situation, of course, later, you know, they retried those cops and ended up finding them guilty. But they had the trial out in a place called Simi Valley, which is like 99.9% white. Yeah. You know what I mean? So, of course, they said, and that's why all those cops, a whole lot of retired cops and those cops, they lived in that neighborhood. Yep. So, of course, they found them good old boys, not guilty. You know, so yeah, people were fed up and they tore up some stuff. And I hate they did it in their own neighborhoods because they burn up all the stores there. It's like, well, where are you going to get your groceries? Where are you going to get your medicine? But now they don't do that. I'm telling you, they go to Beverly Hills and burn up stuff and over those areas. And people like, whoa, you know, we don't want them coming over here burning up.
They down on Rodeo Drive. All right, Armani, Versace.
Exactly. So that's the thing that's changed, you know, but you said, what has stayed the same? A lot of stuff is still the same, man. Racism is still all around. Cops are still beating folks and getting caught, you know, being sneaky and doing stuff, and people recording them out of the window. They don't realize they're being filmed, kicking people and beating people. You know, somebody may be looking at their bedroom window, filming them. It still happens all the time. These dirty racist cops, it still happens, and it's all around. Will it ever stop? And it's not just in LA. As you know, it's all over the country and all over the world. But I don't know if it's ever going to stop, Geno. I mean, since then, I've been pulled over at gunpoint, done absolutely nothing wrong. What? Me and my girlfriend at the time pulled out of the car, guns pointed at cops kneeling down behind their, had the door slung open. Get out of the car with your hands up. And I'm thinking, like, we just coming from the movies. We're not doing anything. We get out, walk backwards down the street, the whole song and dance, 2 little short 5'3", 5'4" white cops. And then when we get, back, where you coming from? I said, the movies, They asked me something stupid. Oh, you got any identification? I said, yeah, hands are up in the middle of a busy street, not far from LAX. I said, yeah, but I'm not reaching in my pocket to get my wallet so you can shoot me in my back. You can reach in my back pocket to get my wallet. Reached in and pulled out my wallet, and the movie passes literally fell out because I had them just in my wallet, not tucked down in there. Fell out on the ground. He picked them up. And he told his partner, oh, they have been to the movies, like that. But yet they got guns aimed on us, ready to kill us both. We hadn't done a thing. But it's like, that's just how it does, man. If you black, and they made a comment that I was driving the Escalade, had nice rims. He made a comment sarcastically, nice rims, like that. So that's just what they do, man.
When did
if you pick up, they kill you.
You didn't tell me that. When did this happen, man?
This happened maybe about 5 or 6 years ago. And you know what he told me? Had the nerve to ask me how was the movie. It was a Will Smith movie, Geno. I don't remember which one it was. It was a Will Smith movie. Wow. And he said, oh, I heard this movie was good. Holding the receipt, said, how was the movie? Now, you've been holding guns on me and talking about how was the movie, like they want to be buddy then. And I said, and I didn't say anything because I already knew the drill, how it works. When they pulled me over, my hands were out the window, everything, right? And so he said, we pulled you over because your truck fit the description, which they tell everybody. It's either broken headlight or your car fit the description.
The description of what?
Of course, somebody that committed a crime. That's always the excuse to pull you over and harass you. You know what I mean? And point guns at you. And they didn't just have their hands on the guns. The guns were aimed at us. When I looked out my rearview mirror, they were on the speaker saying, driver, cut your engine off and get out of the car. And I looked at my rearview mirror, and I remember telling my girlfriend at the time, I said, well, I guess I'm about to die today, because they had guns aimed at us. And then they had me out, hands in the air, and then they were telling her to get out, but she couldn't hear them. They were yelling, get out of the car with your hands up. And she's just sitting there. And then I said, please don't start shooting her in that car, And finally, she said she started to get out because she thought she heard something. So it turned into a big deal, man. We went on the radio with this. Maxine Waters came and picked me up, took me to the police commission meeting, and said, and she picked me up and a brother who's an attorney who had been pulled over and harassed the same way with guns pointed at him. She walked us in there and said, do these men look like somebody that your cops need to be calling thugs and pulling guns on? Because Maxine don't care and don't play. She took us right in that police commission meeting. I never forget it, in Century City. I have mad respect for Miss Maxine Waters. But that stuff goes on, Geno, and it continues to go on. And will it stop? Probably not. Preachers, out here, ministers in LA, were going to the marina for lunch after service, 4 of them in a car. They get pulled over, guns pointed in there at them, and they were like, "We're not doing anything with ministers." And the cops said, "I don't give a F if you said something like if you're some kind of clown or something, made a remark like that, and after I went public with mine, all kind of people were calling, telling us what had happened to them stories. Women like, my baby's in the baby seat in the back, and cop pulling pointing guns in there, me and my baby, and cussing us out, and this kind of stuff just happens so much. So is it changed? Answer your question, Geno. No, it hasn't changed. Will it ever change? I don't know. Maybe in 30 or 40 years, but I don't see it changing anytime soon. And these kind of stories, I even had police officers from some of the smaller divisions call me and say, "Hey, man, I don't want you to use my name on the radio, but I heard what happened to you." And one guy was a police officer in, I want to say, Redondo Beach. He said, "I'm the only black officer in Redondo Beach." He was like, and I see this kind of crap all the time. He said, "They act racist towards me, and I'm a cop." I'm going to tell you this last story. I want to take up all your show. Another guy, he was a sheriff, LA County sheriff, black, of course. He had taken his little girl to the beach near Marina Del Rey, an area called Playa Del Rey. And he said, and he was a sheriff, and his department was right across the bridge, literally, in Marina Del Rey. So he's taking his little girl home to drop her off and go on the 3 o'clock shift. 2 white cops pulled him over. He said he already knew they were going to bother him because he saw when they passed by him, they looked at him, they turned and got behind him, put the lights on. He pulls over. They come up and say, blah, blah, blah. He said, "Well, let me just tell you, I'm an LA County sheriff. Here's my badge. I work right over there. I'm about to take my little girl home and go to work. Here's my badge, da, 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 da." So instead of them saying, "Okay, my man, go ahead. We need your proof of registration," and they started bothering him. "We need your registration and your driver's license and all this." He was like, "Are you serious?" So he called his supervisor because he told him first, "I need your supervisor's information." Of course, he knows the drill. But they kept him there for a long time. And then he told him, "Look, his little girl's around 7 at the time. My little girl has got to use the bathroom." Cop said, white cops, of course, said, "Okay, there's the ground right there." Those kind of things, they try to antagonize. They wanted him to say something or reach for his gun so they could kill him and lie, And he said, "Man, I was so mad." He said, "I told him, you do what you got to do. I'm taking my little girl to this bathroom over here." And he drove down to where was the bathroom. They drove behind him. So by the time his supervisor got there, their supervisor finally showed up. He said it was about 45 minutes later because he called and said, "Hey, man, I'm trying to come to work and these cops harassed me over here." And so he said the cops, when the other supervisor got there, came up and said, "Oh, sorry for the misunderstanding." But that's what they do. That's what they do. They wanted, the guy's name Keith, I'm not going to say his last name. They wanted Keith to say something or do something where they could beat him or shoot him and lie,
So this is a different police department that...
Yeah, this is LAPD against LA Sheriff's Department.
Okay, so that was my question. I wanted 2 things I wanted to ask you. First of all, man, dude, you never told me that. I did not know that you went through that. Because you know how I am anyway.
Yeah.
2, was it LAPD that did that to you, or was it LA County?
Yes,
it was LAPD.
It was LAPD.
So 3.
The sheriffs have a dirty reputation too, but the LAPD is the one with the real dirty reputation.
I had the experience with the LA sheriffs when I was doing mornings out there, and they had me lay face down on the ground.
Really? I didn't know that, Geno.
We did something at, like, I think the Comedy Store, some promotion, and I was like emceeing, whatever it was. And I'll never forget, I had a rental, and I was on Sunset going to the Comedy Store. And man, they pulled me over, had me get out. I'm laying down on the ground, face down, white suit on, and I'm telling them, the registration is a rental car. I said, "Look, the contract, you go look in the glove box." They eventually, assholes let me up. But my thing was, what you went through, did you ever consider taking legal action against me?
Absolutely. Oh man, they had cops calling me left and right apologizing. But guess what? It was the brother who ran the South Division that called me. Not the guy from Marina Del Rey, not that chief of police. A brother called me because a lot of ministers called him and said, "Man, your boys done pulled over somebody and they all over the radio with this mess." Because Stevie Wonder was all behind me. He said, "Man, let's put him on blast." So we went on the radio, we did all kind of stuff, man. We talked about it for a while. Okay.
Wow.
People still ask me about that situation. And that's why Maxine and so many people. So this brother who called me, he's a good brother. Never forget. Right now, fast forward, he's the police chief in San Francisco, Geno Jones.
Really? I've seen him. I've seen that guy on TV.
Yeah, he's the police chief. He's a righteous guy.
Yes.
He couldn't he wanted to be the chief here, but of course they blocked him. And they had all kind of reasons why he couldn't be the next police chief here. And he's like, San Francisco wanted him, so he went there. And he should have been, he was second in command or third in command when that happened to me. And he ended up going, his name is Bill, I can't call his last name right, Bill something anyway.
I've seen him
Brooks
on TV.
Or something.
Yeah.
And he's a great guy. And he's African-American, of course. And so he called me and said, man, what can I do? You know, and stuff. I said, bring those knuckleheads in, let me stick a gun to their head. That's what you could do. Because, you know, he actually, I didn't tell him, Bill Scott, that's his name, Bill Scott. Yeah. I didn't tell him that. Actually, he had the other guy who should have called me, the guy who was over those direct supervisor. He had him call me. Took him a couple of days. He called and said, oh, I heard about what happened. You know, you could tell he didn't care. He was like, what can I do? I said, let me stick a gun to their head. That's what you could do. That's when I said that, you know. But yeah, Bill Scott was a great guy here in LA, and I hate to lose him. He went to San Francisco. And of course they ended up bringing another white police chief in here like they do, and, you know, keep the game going.
So the bottom line is 30 years later that the LAPD basically is the same.
Yeah, man, they still the same. They can say what they want, man. You got all these racist cops, and most of them don't live in the neighborhoods that they serve.
Yes.
You know, they live in the semi valleys, and they come into Inglewood or they come into Compton. You know, they don't live there. They just come in and do what they do. And the only reason they don't do more than that is because they know people got cameras on them, and you know, they believe me, they still want to keep doing it like they did. And that cameras, it stops a little bit, but they don't stop at all.
Well, unfortunately, you look at the brother in Grand Rapids, Michigan, Patrick Lyoa, rest in peace. Camera didn't save him. And the passenger had videotaped the whole thing where he was executed, shot.
Of course.
He's face down. The cop is on his back, you know, with his knees, and shoots Patrick in the back of the head, point blank. An unarmed black man. So
the only thing is, at least now, a couple of them are getting sent to prison and sent to jail, but not enough of them. You know, like I don't want to call his name, but somebody very prominent told me, he said, man, you know what would change a lot of this mess? Let them start taking, instead of the insurance paying these families, because you always hear about the payout, let that money start coming from those cops' pension and from them, you know, those settlements.
Well, Dre, that's something called qualified immunity. That's something that I've talked about. That's another reason why we need to vote, because if we get enough senators, U.S. senators, to support what the Biden administration wants to do with the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act, we can get rid of qualified immunity, which means, like I said, you can start digging in the pockets of these racist, crooked, murderous cops. If I can't appeal to your sense of humanity, compassion, empathy, and decency, I can get your attention when I start digging in your pockets. Oh, that 20, 30-year pension you didn't say it up, you think you got, $500,000, $1 million? Oh, I need you to run me that. Oh, that tuition money you got saved up for your kids' college? I'm gonna need you to run me that. Oh, you got another investment portfolio? Oh, you got real estate? I'm gonna need you to liquidate that. I'm gonna need you to run all that money to me.
Yep, there you go, brother. That will cut out some of that mess. That will cut out a lot of that mess.
That's why these racist police unions are fighting so hard. They do not want to lose qualified immunity because they know.
You took the words out of my mouth. Yeah, what I've learned dealing with my situation and others, the police unions are so doggone powerful, it's scary.
Yeah.
You know, and they run things.
But you know what? But here's the thing. They're not omnipowerful. That's up to cities. That's why it's important. Local elections are so important because guess what? Mayors appoint. Very few police chiefs they're not elected positions.
Right.
They are appointed. So
exactly.
And these police unions, they're contracts between the police unions and the cities. So some of these mayors say, well, you know what? If I see this racist behavior, we're not going to renew your contract. And maybe we can have some kind of recruitment, find a police chief like your guy. What's his name? Bill, what's his last name?
Bill, I just said his name. I forgot it that quick. Bill Scott. Yeah,
Bill Scott.
I'm sorry.
Or
Yeah.
here in North Charleston, South Carolina, there's a black police chief. Full disclosure, Dre, he and I are super close. He and I are really literally family. Chief Reggie Burgess, amazing. Just listen, all his officers black, white, but he didn't tolerate no nonsense. He is the epitome about community policing. We need more police chiefs like that. We need the good cops to start snitching on the bad cops and saying, hey, listen, what we're not going to do this. We're not going to disgrace and dishonor this gun and this badge, all right? Because we're supposed to treat everybody equally. So if you can't do that, you don't need to have this job. So the good cops need to speak out against the bad cops. But these cities need to have a come to Jesus conversation with the police unions. So if you all don't want to change the culture and get rid of the racists, well, the problem is a lot of the heads of these police unions are racist.
No doubt.
See Chicago. So, but that's how you get their attention. It's like, well, we're not going to renew this contract. As a matter of fact, that what we'll tell police officers that they don't necessarily have to have a union, or we'll go ahead and work with some good cops, let them form their own police union. And so we'll sign a contract with a different police union that is committed to true police reform. So, there are ways to do it. And the way to get people's attention is, like I said, when you start digging in them pockets and you affect that paycheck, then all of a sudden people want to come to Jesus, and you'll get a phone call like you did. Well, what can we do to make this right, Mr. Russell? We're so sorry. Because they were afraid that you were going to sue. And I wish you would have. You better than me. Because, yeah. They'd have been cutting a check.
We'll talk. We'll talk.
Okay, we'll talk off camera. Ladies and gentlemen, where can everybody follow you, man? I appreciate you.
Man,
on social media.
I'm out here on the radio at Andre Russell. Well, at Andre Russell, first of all, but I'm out here on KJLH in Los Angeles. So if you're ever out here, or if you're listening on the mobile, we have an app, man, that you can hear us anywhere in the world. It's just KJLH app, and you can hear me there all the time. I do a Sunday show called Spread the Word that Geno mentioned earlier. And it's on from noon to 7 every Sunday. A long shift, a long show, but I love doing it. Noon to 7 LA time, East Coast. That's 3 to 10, I believe. But yes. There we go. KJLH, legendary KJLH.
And his show's been #1 for 25 years, so he's modest. He ain't gonna brag, so I'm gonna brag on him for him. So if you need some Jesus and you couldn't make it to church, then you need to go ahead and you can get some church online.
It's called Bedside Baptist Church. You can get right there in your bed. Come on,
that's right.
Bedside Baptist with Andre Russell. No, I'm just kidding.
That's my man.
I love you, boy.
Hey, man, I love you more, man. Thank you so much. So we got to have you back on. So look, all right, I'm putting my bid in. I know you're a busy man. Before the NBA Finals, once we get the 2 teams, so we're going to follow your prediction. I need you to come back on right before the game 1 of the NBA Finals, and we'll talk about it.
You got a deal.
Thank you, man.
All right, brother. See you, Geno.
Dre Russell. He's a bad man. God, we've known each other 30 years, literally 30 years. And I did not know about that story about the incident. Just thank God that he didn't get shot. That's a whole nother story. All right, listen, I got to get out of here. Thank you for letting me be a part of your life. As always, God bless each and every one of you. God, most of all, thank you for letting me do the Geno Jones Show. I come to you live Monday through Friday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, 3:30 p.m. out on the West Coast, out in L.A. where Dre is, 5:30 in Chicago. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Please like and share. Subscribe, like, and share this and every episode. Shout out to Mr. Markel Bailey, the official barber and hairstylist of the Geno Jones Show. Check him out on Instagram. Check out his work. You see what he does with mine. He keeps me right. Kel B Cutting Up, KELBECUTTINUP. Or just search Markel Bailey on Instagram, but it's Kel B Cutting Up. Allie Jones and Bruce Gage, the official stylist, wardrobe consultants of the Geno Jones Show. Allie Jones, Lexi with 2 X's, LEXXIE .Nicole _ line below designs, and Bruce Gage, Miglio Di Mario Uomo, MIGILIO DIMARIO. UOMO, or just search Bruce Gage on Instagram. But just rewind this back and just pause it until you spell whoever name you need or whatever Instagram handle so you can check out what they're doing. I love each and every one of you. Mother, you know I love you more than life itself. I want to thank everybody for watching. Tomorrow, we kick off the weekend TGIF Friday edition of The Geno Jones Show, 6:30 p.m. live. In the meantime, go back and binge watch every episode. I love you. I really do. And as always, I like to close by saying, please, be blessed. And let's pray for peace. Thanks for watching.
Subscribe and tune in to the next episode of The Geno Jones Show, exclusively right here on YouTube.